I know you are a Bengals fan, and we know last year your Bengals finished a woeful 2-14 on the season. Y'all had the first overall pick in the draft. Y'all selected Joe Burrow. So before we get to Joe Burrow, what is your expectations for your Bengals this season as a team?
So number one, obviously an attitude change. You know, the culture change. When we sit there and saw, not to sit here and say Marvin Lewis did a bad job, but when you saw Marvin Lewis and how he was coaching the team and running it, it was a different culture. Just like with management. Management, before Zac Taylor came in, it was different. Never have I heard in Bengals history have we spent most money in free agency. We spent well over $160 million to bring in good players, which was impressive. So expectations right now is looking better than what it was coming in. And I know Zac Taylor's hungry because he's still looking to prove that he can't be that guy to lead the team to, you know, the Super Bowl, which we always talked about. And even though they had the talent to get there, they just weren't quite there. I do believe Zac Taylor knows how to bring in the talent to do that. And the second thing is that obviously you look at the division right now, there's been a lot of changes. You see a lot of young quarterbacks coming in. You know, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow now. The only person who's a veteran right now is Roethlisberger, which his time eventually is going to come. So look for expectations to similar to what the Browns are, revamping, re-innovating, doing things different, bringing a different culture in, spending a little bit more money, and taking the talent that we actually have and using it. And he's also showed that he's not afraid to make moves, making cuts. And we also know that they've already cut a few players that we know. One notable one, big one, was Dre Kirkpatrick, who still isn't signed with the team yet. So again, I look for big changes to come with the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not going to sit here and say playoffs off the bat, but I do believe they can make a run to get there.
Real quick, Clarence, before you go on real quick, I got to say this. He brought up Dre Kirkpatrick. Dre Kirkpatrick need to go. He needed to go.
He needed to.
Every game that I watched him get burnt. Every single game. Like, he was one of those players that jumped off my screen in a negative way. Like, he needed to go. Even it's some Bengal fans, y'all, that I know. I got a lot of Bengal fans, obviously. I'm a Packers fan, Lawrence, by the way. But I got a lot of Bengal fans that I'm friends with and I'm family with as well. And even real live true Bengal fans, they were saying Patrick was trash. I'm not to say that. What you think, Clarence?
Man, listen, I think for Drake Kirkpatrick, that he had, y'all hear me? Look, I think Drake Kirkpatrick's situation, he couldn't tackle. He wasn't a good tackler in open field.
That wasn't just it. He couldn't cover either.
Yeah, I mean, the cover, I ain't gonna believe it or not, he was our highest, he had the highest rate in coverage on the Pro Football Focus. But the problem for him is he didn't have downfield speed. So he couldn't keep up with the speedsters or try to push them away because he'd think he's about to hold them, but nah, man, the game is playing. He was a horrible tackler. And I'm glad that we replaced him. Even with Trey Waynes, he's dealing with the injuries. The injuries gonna hurt though. But we got a lot of young bucks on the team that can be a number one, number two corner on the team. Though. I just believe that Drake Kirkpatrick, it was a must move from him though, because he just couldn't tackle and his coverage skills wasn't that good.
Well, I already know he couldn't cover because he was leading the Bengals at one point with the most penalties, which was holding or pass interference. So I already know he can't cover. You know, I really don't look at the Pro Football Focus. I look at the style of play and how you can play. And at one point, the craziest thing, and this is why I read, he coming out of college, he ain't know how to backpedal. I don't know any corner who don't know how to backpedal. And that's honestly what he said at one point. So if you can't backpedal playing in the big leagues, no way should you even be on the rating of the top rated, you know, corner based on Pro Football Focus. You're leading the most penalties, deep pass interference. You can't hold the best receivers. Then you got to go.
So let me ask you this, Lawrence, though. So, you know, this past draft in April and stuff, you know, the Bengals, we drafted number one overall Joe Burrow. And I was pretty excited about it. And Trey always just glue around, said, you think he's the savior in Cincinnati? Oh, he's not going to save nothing. He's going to be a bust. Matter of fact, Tua Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than him. So I want to know your personal reaction when we drafted Joe Burrow. Like, I want to be honest.
Honestly, I think it's a great pick because you have to look at a different situation. First of all, we're looking at a guy who broke a lot of college football records and going to LSU. He started for Ohio State, and being a local guy, that's probably why he wanted to be close to home playing for Ohio State. I'm sure at one point he thought he was going to start. When he saw the opportunity wasn't there, he made a big move, going to the LSU, playing in the SEC conference, which we all know is a big, tough conference in all college football. We all know that. Not only did he go on the field to prove that he could be a starting quarterback, but he proved he could sit there and play like an NFL pro. That's something that we normally don't see. And note to everybody who doesn't know, this guy's from Athens, Ohio. So to sit there and bring a guy who's local, a local hero, coming in winning a national championship, Heisman Trophy winner, bring him in another tough situation in Cincinnati, Ohio, give him something to prove to say, hey, I can be that guy. I don't have to be an Andy Dalton. I don't have to be a Carson Palmer. I don't have to be a Boomer Esiason or a Ken Anderson. He's a guy who wants to be put in that position to go out there, play football, and prove these guys wrong. And I think that's what his mentality is. So I think it's a great pick because when was the last time the Bengals had that? We've never had that. You don't see that out of Andy Dalton. Even him being a second-round pick, saying he was going to back up Carson Palmer, we never seen that out of him. I'm sure we saw the energy on the field, but we never saw that out of Andy Dalton. We never saw that out of Carson Palmer.
Now, Lawrence, let me tell you something real quick because I've been trying to tell Clarence this, because he been riding this Joe Burrow train since last year. Like since last year, he been riding this Joe Burrow train. I want to give Joe Burrow a lot of credit because we know he won the Heisman last year. He had 60 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. He had over 66 completion percentage last year. So he did a hell of a job last year with LSU. My question for Bengal fans is, do you ever feel like maybe Joe Burrow was just a one-year wonder because he went to Ohio State, he couldn't get the starting job there, and then he got to LSU, and in his first year in LSU, he had 16 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions. He had a breakout season last year, a historic season, honestly. But do you ever ask yourself as a Bengal fan, is this a one-year wonder? Because it's a great possibility that Joe Burrow could be a one-year wonder. And one more thing, real quick, Lawrence. I feel like the weapons that he had at his disposal last year with LSU, with Justin Jefferson and my man Ja'Marr Chase and Clyde Edwards, he had some elite weapons that he was throwing the ball to last year in that LSU offense. I think he had better weapons with LSU than he's going to have with you guys as Bengals this year. What do you say to that?
Well, you also got to remember when he was at Ohio State, he was injured a little bit, which obviously decreased some time for him playing on the field. But you also have to remember there was other people that was hype behind. Dwayne Haskins Jr., and we see what he's doing in the NFL now, still looking to find his place there. And then you got another guy, what's his name? I honestly forgot. I forgot who was starting quarterback out to him. But
Haskins.
He came, what was that?
Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he was injured that year. But again, he got put in a position where he could have either stayed or go to another tough situation. Now, I'm not saying the Big Ten is, a bad conference, but we know between the SEC and the Big Ten, we know what the tougher competition's at. When you got Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Michigan, Wisconsin, when it comes to the SEC, everybody there's a powerhouse. And it's guaranteed if you can't beat Bama, there ain't no way you're going to make it to the national championship. And that's exactly what he proved to do. Now, I think we talk about him coming into a situation very similar to what he's been in. Again, I don't sit here and say him as a savior, but we can go as far as Joe Burrow goes if he has a protection. We all know that we constantly made excuses with Andy Dalton when it came to protection with not having alignment. Now, we're not being cheap about anything. We're actually going out there, going to get players and building around Joe Burrow. Defense, we've done a phenomenal job with in the draft and a free agency. Now we have our opportunity now to build around Joe Burrow. And the way everybody's talking about, he's smart, very intelligent. He's ahead of the game as of right now. They talk very highly about him. Obviously, it's one thing to talk about it. We have to see that for ourselves. But, I do see him as a guy who's going to come in, make a name, put himself on the map, put the seed back on the map, and put a team on his back and say, let's go out there and win.
Real quick, Clarence, I just want you to know, Lawrence, Clarence already has him as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And that's my biggest problem. Like, I've heard comparisons to Joe Burrow from people that compared him to Peyton Manning. They compared him to Aaron Rodgers. They've compared him to even LeBron James. And I'm of the belief, wait, pump the brakes. Let's just see what this guy has. Let's not give him these expectations that could possibly be too high for him. And like I said, Clarence already think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So I just think that we need to relax and understand that there are some players that play well at the collegiate level and they don't be successful in the NFL. Go ahead, Clarence.
Well, before anything, I mean, I never said Hall of Fame because I'm not even there yet. I just want the season to start so I can see what he can do in tough game situations. So, Clarence, man, bang on the Bengal. I love you, man, but damn, chill out, bro.
Clarence
Clarence
ready. Yeah, Clarence. If it's up to Clarence Lawrence, he are ready to induct him into the Hall of Fame. He ready for them to have that speech in Canton. He wanted to happen.
Now, look, Lawrence, it's the eye test, brother. You got to look at all these players that's been in the league, and you can just literally, clearly look them in the eyes like, oh yeah, that guy is going to be very good this year. Like people never thought about that Patrick Mahomes. It took the right scouts to scout him and tell Andy Reid, hey, that kid right there is going to be a beast. And for example, look at that Green Bay Packers staff. They drafted.
Don't compare him to no Green Bay Packers.
Look. I'm just saying this, Lauren. They believe that he's the future quarterback of their franchise, and they feel like this guy is a raw prospect and he's gonna be good in a few more years. But we're not talking about the cheeseheads because they're irrelevant right now. But let me ask you this, Lauren. You know the Bengals, they like you said, they spent actually over almost $198 million. Who was the biggest like the free agent signing you was more excited for?
I mean, before the injury went down, Trey Waynes, because we never had a cornerback like him, and he has that leadership trait. And I know what he did for the Vikings. He's very disciplined. You also look at the head coach, who was a former defensive coordinator for the Bengals. He has that defensive mind to where he's going to do his job, and it's not, that mentality that he's given a job, he's going to cover him. Trey Waynes brings that leadership to the cornerbacks. And again, it's a young group right now. He doesn't come in and talk like Trey does. We don't care about the nickname, Swagger P, whatever he sit there and came up with. We don't care about that. Trey Waynes is a guy who just wants to go out there, play the game and win. And at one point when he went out there, he was put in a couple positions where, they could have went to a championship and played for more. That was the biggest thing that I was excited for. And another one I was excited for, I know you said number one, but DJ Redder was another one. Because, playing alongside with Geno Atkins and the inside, bringing that energy in the trenches, knocking out offensive linemen on their back, you can't get no better with that. When you apply pressure to the quarterback, it breaks the pocket. You break the pocket and get to the quarterback, you got a chance to win the game. So those two alone bring that presence back to the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm sure there's a lot more signings that they got, because another one recently we got was another former Pro Bowl, Mike Daniels, who played with the Houston Texans and had a run-in with Detroit Lions as well. So
and he was a stud with the Packers. He played with us.
Yeah, you're right.
Superstar.
The Packers, yeah. So, he was a stud. So, again, we're bringing that. We're going out there. We're not doing our old Bengal thing. We're going out there, again, players who we're familiar with, who used to play for us. We're not doing none of that. We're going out there, again, guys who actually know what it takes to win, has been in that position to where they need to win.
I think, though, Lawrence, you and Clarence and other Bengal fans got to remember something, though, about Trey Waynes. Y'all are happy about Trey Waynes because there's nowhere to go but up at the cornerback position, because you've had Drake Kirkpatrick for the last few years guarding the opposing team's best receiver. Mm-hmm. I've seen Trey Waynes get cooked by Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams has had his games where he has cooked Trey Waynes. I'm telling y'all right now. And I know Devontae is one of the best receivers we have in the NFL, but I done seen Trey Waynes get lit up by Devontae in some games, fellas. I'm serious.
I'm sure that's true, but I'm sure there's other guys who said he's been able to cover. I'm sure he could play against guys like Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, A.J. Green at one point. I'm sure he could cover guys like that. So, that's one receiver. And I give Devontae Adams proper where it is, man. We already know he's been a top receiver in the game, especially with a guy like Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. But when you talk about Drake Kirkpatrick, he can't cover nobody. He can't even cover a third-string receiver. He can't cover nobody. You can send him the video of me telling him that. He can't cover nobody. So I'm glad it's an upgrade. I'm glad. I believe in Trey Waynes over Kirkpatrick any day. That's what we needed. We need a change like that. So, of course, Bengal fans are going to be saying that because we need that change. We need it because I'm tired of it. I don't want to feel like a Cleveland Brown.